The ancient coastal fishing town of Peniche, Portugal, once again plays host to the Moche Rip Curl Pro. As in years past, the heavy beach break of Super Tubos will be a crucial step in determining the 2015 Samsung Galaxy World Surf League champion, with thousands of waves ridden, spanning 9 events over the course of 10 months. Sitting only 450 points ahead of Adriano de Souza, Mick Fanning wears the Jeep leader's jersey. After missing an opportunity to be #1 in the world in France, de Souza will look to Portugal for another chance to overcome Fanning's small lead. But Adriano isn't the only one hunting a result to close the gap. Julian Wilson, Owen Wright, and now even Gabriel Medina have found themselves in a position to potentially make a world title run going into the final 2 events of the year. They all face an uphill battle, as Mick Fanning is the defending champ in Portugal and has proven with his 3 world titles that he can overcome the pressure and perform in any circumstance thrown his way. It all unfolds at the 2015 Moche Rip Curl Pro Portugal, and it starts now.
Events down, only 2 remain as we move on to stop number 10 on the Samsung Galaxy Championship Tour, the Moche Rip Curl Pro Portugal, and things are getting exciting as this world title race heats up. It's October 20th, the first day of the event window. You're watching Dawn Patrol, I'm Ronnie Blakey, a big show for you today. First up, we'll be talking Portugal, getting the call and having a look at the Surfline forecast. From there, we'll be checking out Ross Williams and his fantasy surfing tips for this contest. And then we'll also going to take you behind the scenes of a pretty special night last night. CJ Hobgood, who's retiring at the end of the year, had a surprise bash for him. So plenty of behind the scenes action to dive into, as well as some big title talk, some big possibilities here in Portugal, and Joe Topel and Martin Potter will run us through that. Right now though, a big hello to Ross, Marmaduke Williams, and Peter the Condor.
Whoa, Marmaduke?
Marmaduke.
How are we, gentlemen?
Morning, Ronnie.
Good to see you guys, and what a great little transition it's been from France down here to Portugal. We rocked up. My first trip here, Ross, but not for you. It's good to be back.
It really is. And I think my favorite thing about Portugal is you have so much elbow room here to go surfing. It is truly one of the best surfing nations in the world. There is just miles and miles of just wedge factories, really fun beach breaks.
And you got river mouths and towns and food and everything that comes with Peniche. It's an amazing place. Always good to come here and visit.
No more food, please. Need a break after
no more
France, but definitely some exciting things coming our way. Even just looking at the first round for me is exciting. Some amazing matchups and some pretty exciting names coming into the draw.
Straight off the bat, I think the perfect example of that is Gabriel Medina is up against Mason Ho with Miguel Pupo right in the middle of that. And Miguel, that brings up the topic of there's a lot of guys battling to get in the top 22, so there's so much fun stuff to look at. Not only the title contenders, but everyone trying to keep that seed.
Well, we always want to talk those title contenders, but yeah, you mentioned all those guys that are going to be battling for that spot in the top 22 to keep themselves on tour, and that's always interesting to me, is those guys who are having to need one big result coming into these last couple events, and that's the pressure factory, I think, more than anything. Even going for the title's one thing, but when you're trying to keep your career on the line, way fun to watch that.
Definitely. We also have some really interesting replacements stepping into this draw, and we're going to touch on that a little bit later. But right now, let's find out if we're going to get action in the water on day 1 here at the Moche Rip Curl Pro. We'll check in with Chelsea Cannell and former CT Ripper Travis Logie.
Yeah, thanks, Ronnie. I am here with Travis. And Travis, we've just had a fantastic event in France. We're here in Portugal now. We're ready to do it all again. Is the swell ready?
No, unfortunately not today. We got down here, we've got beautiful offshore conditions, but there's not much swell around. And we've got a pretty promising forecast coming up for later on this week and into next week, so we're going to be off for today.
So we'll be off for today. You said the promising forecast is coming towards the end of the week. Can you walk us through what we have on offer for the rest of the waiting period?
Yeah, the next couple of days are going to be pretty similar today. Really good conditions, but probably not enough swell. But we'll keep coming down and reassessing it. And then towards the end of this week, Friday and through the weekend and into next week, there's going to be a lot more swell. It looks really promising. It's just a little bit tricky with the winds, but we'll continue to watch the forecast and just cherry pick the good days.
Awesome. Sounds good. Thanks, Travis. All right, Ronnie, we are off for today, but we'll be back tomorrow to check things out again.
Thank you, Chelsea, and Trav Logie making the calls under the pump here in Portugal. I love it.
It's really cool. And we're lucky, as this league, to have Kieran Perrell for our commissioner and then Travis Logie, Jesse Maladar. We have really experienced surfers making the calls.
Yeah, well, I wish I could say something about the Big Wave Tour. Right?
That's right.
There's a lot of heat I've been taking lately.
Nah, you're on fire, Pete. Come on. But Pete, you're always keeping a close eye on the Surfline forecast. What can we look forward to?
Well, let's take a look at it. We talked about these clean conditions. I mean, this is about as good of conditions you can get here for Peniche. We sit on the south part of the peninsula, and as you can see, that red blob next to the coast is all offshore flow, which unfortunately is great conditions, but not great for surf. That's pushing all the surf away from us. But you can see up there that monitoring that northwest swell that should be showing up for what we talked about Thursday, Friday, Saturday-ish, and we'll see that. He talked about the conditions for those days. As that low moves away from us, we'll start to see an onshore flow in the afternoon. I mean, this is a really unique place. If you can see, Peniche sticks out a big finger out there, and we sit on the south part of that finger. So all those north winds are offshore here, which is great, and that's the predominant wind that we'll see throughout most of the time here. But right now we're seeing a lot of northerly winds and northeast winds. Of course, is not great for surf, but it's great for conditions. Again, we are going to see today dropping off, and we'll start to see some glassy conditions too, but then some onshore flow, and so talking about dicey winds, that's what we'll be looking at. Look at today, surfs are basically flat. You can see there's some rideable waves out there, 1 to 2 foot. I mean, if you really wanted to grab the LB and get out there and ride a few waves, you can do that, but there's also all those other spots around the coast that you can do. But look at that, Friday, Saturday, pumping surf, and the sandbanks are amazing right now. They've talked about it, all the local folks are talking about how good the banks are. A week ago they had some surf here and it was pumping and it was beautiful, and I saw some photos. So ultimately, cross our fingers that we keep these conditions at least in the morning hours, and see some barrel riding.
Beautiful. One of the surfers really talking up the condition of the sandbar at the moment is one of the wildcards into this contest, the highest rated surfer on the QS from Portugal, Frederico Morais. Let's get his take on Super Tubes and what we can look forward to.
We are in Super Tubos, a famous beach break in Portugal. Today it's tiny, so looking to try some 5-10 small wave boards, just to get wet and have fun. There's always like 3 sandbars here. One it breaks on the right, another one that breaks left, and a bit more south of the beach there's a good left. You always see some big barrels. It's a really consistent pitch. The sandbar that is in front of the contest, it's the most consistent one. It's always here and it's looking good now, even it's small. To get barreled, I think this is the best beach break in Portugal, no doubt. It's really famous and even the locals are mellow, It's a really fun wave and it's worth it to come here.
picks today here on day one of the event window. But there's still plenty to talk about, of course, and Ross Williams, former Championship Tour surfer, is now going to share his picks. And Ross, you really put a lot of time into this. Took you about 3 days to get this list together, and you give it a lot of thought. You want to give people the best nod and the best opportunity to collect big numbers.
I really do, and I want to give credit to I think the 2,000 people that are beating me, by the way, because it's tough. It really is about that B tier and that C tier. Those 1 or 2 guys that make the difference, that you make that golden pick. Obviously, Bede Durbridge in the last event. Didn't you pick Bede?
No, I didn't.
Someone picked Bede on our team, and they absolutely smashed it.
So it's those
little differences that will just skyrocket you over everyone else. But I'm going with Gabriel Medina for A, mainly just because Gabriel, he has got so much swagger right now. He's got all the momentum, all those buzzwords that you like to use for someone who's got that magic that really kind of clicks him into gear. And I think for Gabriel Medina, with these types of waves out here, it suits his surfing so well. And that's kind of my tips for each and all these guys, that whoever you're going to choose, keep in mind how this wave breaks. It is a straight-up wedge factory. It's very punchy, it's hollow, and it produces exciting ramps. So you want to get those guys that, they elevate their game with that type of wave.
And he had some amazing highlights in France, of course. It definitely looked like it was the Medina of 2014 for me. Just so confident. Every time a section came his way, he just blew it apart.
Oh, look at this. I mean, that's we've seen this probably now about 100 times, but every time you watch it, you're like, it's still amazing. And
that right there is what it's going to be all about here behind us. Super Tubes is going to be really exciting, and it's going to lend a huge favor to the guys that go big on one move. One
of the things that's so exciting, at least about Gabriel Medina, and and the pick that you have there, I think it's a solid one, is that his backhand, one of the best on tour in my eyes, and then also you turn it around and put it the other direction on the forehand. He knows how to barrel ride both directions. He knows how to do airs both directions. He's got versatility and variety both directions. And we're here to beach break once again. It's going to be same kind of deal. You got to have that eye to be able to find those good rights, those good lefts on a quick notice, quick moment, and he knows how to do that. So it's a great pick.
Yeah, he's back to his best. I think throughout the year, not too many people have been picking him for event wins, but in France it was easy. People were throwing his name around after those first few early round heat performances, and after his effort through the finals of the Quicksilver Pro, he's definitely on top of the list as the favourites here.
And the other thing to take note of, I think, for the surfers that'll do well here at Super Tubes is the wave knowledge and the navigation that goes down before they stand up. These waves are really A-framey and kind of shifty. It's not one solid takeoff zone. You have to kind of constantly read the lineup and get yourself perfectly right behind that wedge so that you can either get barreled or hit that one perfect ramp. And Kalohe Andina really has picked up his wave knowledge over the last couple years. I mean, this is one of those surfers that grew up on tour right before our eyes. And one of the things that he's really improved at, we all talk about his surfing, but his wave knowledge and what he does before he actually stands up.
I think throughout this season, Kalohe, the thing that's been missing is confidence, and he reclaimed a bit of that with his effort in France, putting together his best event on the CT level, but also already qualified, so a super threat in this event.
That right there, Pete Mel, that kind of boost right there, that big slob, that's game on for Super Tubes behind us. That's what it's all about. Those big ramps, they're going to be the main focus here.
Yeah, when you look at this, the Portuguese Wave Series, which is a nice element that's been added here in Europe, right here in Portugal. This is the final event of this Portugal Wave Series. You've got a couple QS events that are thrown in there along with this championship tour, and Kalohe Andina right now with the 2 results that he's had, winning that QS 10,000. He has got himself in position to win an extra 25K, which is an amazing feat. I think that it's a nice little gravy to be added to this event and give us some importance as well.
I've almost eaten 25K worth of pastry since I've been here. It's been brutal, but yeah, it's been fun watching Kalohe, and definitely, as you said, Pete, some extra incentive there to take out that series, and really he's in a position now to re-qualify on the CT without having to use that big QS lead that he's got. But another big performer who will be keen to watch, a real showman, Ross, is Mason Ho.
Yeah, and the thing I like about Mason is how strong he is mentally. I mean, this is one of the happiest surfers you'll ever meet. Always wears a big smile on his face, but he is competitive. So there's a really good mix of, you need to put a jersey on and want to beat everyone, but at the same time, you got to be positive. You don't want to be eggy. And the thing that is predominantly happens here in Europe is it's a long year, you guys. Like, you know, everyone gets tired. There's a lot of nagging injuries. For Mason, he is going to be the freshest competitor in this field. He's going to be so psyched to have this opportunity, you know, being a wild card here. And then to be actually, you know, surf super tubes. Mason Ho loves to surf those little wedgie those little wedgie waves where he can get behind it, get barreled. You know, the wave he loves to surf at rock piles in Hawaii is just a little chip shot, just like these waves here.
Yeah, you know, he's got it dialed in, and he's so entertaining. You know, that's the one thing that he doesn't need competition to have a career. You know, his whole deal is that he is just out there having a good time, and it reflects in how people like to watch him because of that. So, I mean, you're going to tune into Mason Ho Heat for sure.
WorldSurfLeague.com/fantasy is the place to go to set your fantasy teams. Make sure you take Ross's tips. After the break, we're going to have a look at some world title possibilities for here in Portugal with Joe Teppel and Martin Potter.
The Dawn Patrol here at Super Tubos, one of the most exciting beach breaks in the world. You're at the Moche Rip Curl Pro Portugal, the 10th stop of the Samsung Galaxy Championship Tour. Quiet little village, just a couple of tumbleweeds on the beach as it's looking pretty sleepy. Joe Teppel alongside 89 world champ Martin Potter. Morning, Potts.
Morning, Joe.
Exciting coming here to Super Tubes once again. We remember when the tour stopped here as a search event through Rip Curl back in '09. It was so good that we just decided to stay.
You know, the mayor just said, you know, this is such a great show. You know, we had perfect Super Tubos that time as well. It was one of those waves that I'd never really seen before, heard a lot about, but very Porto Escondido style, just big, huge, heaving barrels, and I mean, we're back. It's one of the best places on earth.
It's always very crucial for the world title race when we think about the Jeep leaderboard coming into top 10, just pipe remaining after this one. And we had Medina clinch his first win of the season in France. He jumps up to 5th in the world. Fanning's still world #1, but De Souza's only 450 points behind him.
You know what a world title race it is, and I mean Medina's thrown himself right in the mix again. Just that win, you know, it sort of fueled the fire again. The Medina of old, #5 in the world. If he can walk away with the win here, throw the cat amongst the pigeons, it's going to be insane. But it's mixed to lose. You know, that's the way you got to look at it. Obviously, Adriano De Souza's got to try and get himself in a situation to, you know, have a good place going into pipe, but it's mixed to lose, really.
So interesting when you look at the situation where Mick Fanning does have a chance to potentially clinch that 4th world title here in Portugal, but Adriano De Souza would have to lose and get a 13th or worse. That's losing in round 2 or round 3, and then Fanning would have to go on to win. So if Fanning doesn't win, we all go down to pipeline to decide another exciting world champion.
You know, mathematically there's a lot of guys still in the equation, but there's got to be some serious losses go down. You know, I don't think Adriano De Souza's had a second round loss this entire year. So for that to happen, it's going to be rare. I can't wait to see it unfold at Pipe. Let's hope we get some good waves there, and like it was last year, it was a great spectacular show.
Well, big situation on hand for Mick Fanning as he's coming into this event as the defending champ. We caught up with Mick the other day at the press conference to see how he felt coming in the last 2 stops of the season.
It's been an up and down sort of year, but I don't know. I sort of felt like in France, I sort of felt like I was sort of just hanging on, and yeah, just sort of wanted to just go out now and just throw everything at it. That's pretty much it. It's it's no use trying to play tactics or anything like that. It's just go out there and do your job, and yeah, I'm going to do my best.
Interesting hearing from Mick Fanning about France. We remember the come-from-behind effort against Husino to save himself, and then an interesting heat against Bede. Had the 7 early. Wasn't a typical heat you saw Mick going down in.
That was a tough heat for Mick. Bede obviously surfing insane, a rejuvenated Bede Durbridge, but Mick's, I think there's a lot of pressure, even though you could tell by that interview he's got to let it hang out now. He can't afford to play tactics. He's got to go in, put the pedal to the metal, and really use every heat as his last heat of the year. Well, he won back at the Search. He won last season in different conditions, so Mick with a lot going for him. Also at the press conference, we talked to a fairly happy-go-lucky Adriano de Souza.
It's been an amazing experience for me, to be in a top 3 since event number 1. It's always a dream for, I'm being on tour for 10 years already, and it's always a dream to come in the last event of the year and then fighting for the world title. But actually this event I need to work hard and make some results to make alive my world title to the Hawaii event. So I think only Mick, except him, sitting on a comfortable seat. So the rest of the guys needed to work hard to get there.
Adriano de Souza knows the situation, was talking about the math, a big difference compared to Mick Fanning's speech the other day.
Absolutely. De Souza's in a great spot. That yellow jersey was weighing down on him. We saw like a slippery slope through the mid part of the year. As soon as that yellow jersey changed hands, you saw a different de Souza, and I think he's got a good shot here. He's got to win it though, as far as I'm concerned. I think he's got to create some sort of gap going into Pipeline. We saw what happened last year with the pressure of going for a world title Pipeline. You don't want to have that.
So true. When you think about the early matchups, they have wild cards who have been so dangerous here in the past.
Yep.
Remember the story of Frederico Morais. He became a household name when he took out Kelly in a big world title year. Frederico's back. He has de Souza in the first round.
We saw what happened last year as well with Medina and Brett Simpson, Kelly Slater, Ritz Aaron Baru. This is a strange wave. It's one of those waves that throw up a lot of surprises. So these guys have got to really focus and make sure they don't fall. Don't make any mistakes.
That's right. Exciting times here at the Moche Rip Curl Pro Portugal. Coming up next, we go into a little surprise moment for a former world champ.
Welcome back to Dawn Patrol. Great insights from Joe Topel and Martin Potter on the title race in that last segment. But now, something special. CJ Hobgood announced his retirement earlier this season. There's been a few special moments throughout the year with CJ, but last night was one of the best. A surprise party organised by some of his best friends, some of the WSL admin, and CJ got a huge shock. One very special surprise. They got his wife out over here.
He was so shocked, and he showed everyone a big text that was from his wife saying, "Hey, I had no idea." She held it together, so a full poker face from the wife. But you know what's so great about this, you guys, is so many surfers make it on tour when they're teenagers and they're 18, 19, 20 years old, and they have to grow up on tour and become men. It's such a tough journey, and for CJ to have 17 years on tour, not only can he be proud of his results, his world title, but he can be proud of the man he's become, because he's one of the best on tour.
Yeah, watch him, go through the adolescent years and that kind of punky attitude, and just coming into the super mellow respect zone, and just now he's still in that competitive mode though. I mean, you heard him talking about to Mick Fanning and everybody else, like, we're all having businesses now, we're coming out of our careers, and we're still going to be competitive at that, but after that we're still friends on the street, and the camaraderie of everybody there last night was amazing.
And great to see you, Strider Wozalewski.
Good to be here, brother.
But it was a special night, so some amazing speeches. CJ Hobgood in his 17th year as a Championship Tour surfer, the 2001 World Champion. We'll be watching his progress through this event closely. That's it for today, though, so make sure you tune in bright and early tomorrow. It's a show not to be missed. We're going to have the title front runners, De Souza, Fanning, and Owen Wright on the show. We'll see you at 8 a.m. tomorrow.